emergency exits.
Hello, everybody. This is Ron, your captain speaking. We are currently 30,000 feet in the air, and we haven't even left the airport. We just lit the joint. Just kidding, a little pilot humor there. We like to have fun. Our destination today is Casablanca, Morocco. So everyone, sit back, fasten your seatbelts, and prepare for takeoff. We will be arriving in...
Are you looking for a better way to play player props or daily fantasy sports? Well, look no further than Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the leading over-under daily fantasy game. Why? Because it's so easy to use and win. You can make your picks in under 30 seconds and win up to 10 times your money in one day. Right now, we have a special offer for our viewers and listeners of the 7-Footers podcast. All you have to do is sign up now and use the promo code 7-Footer, and Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Yep, that's right. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. So, join the over 150,000 others who found a better way to play and download the Prize Picks app today.
Seven Footers, what is good? It's your boy Jarod Hector. I am covering the hosting duties today as Jenna is up in Connecticut signing her contract with the Connecticut Sun. No, she is not an actual baller. She is the in-arena host for them. So she's up there doing that with the Connecticut Sun. Make sure when the WNBA season happens, you guys are checking out the Sun, supporting Jenna. If you're up in that area, go and watch some games. So I put out the bat signal because I was like, man, I got to get somebody to fill in. And it was tough because this dude is, it's March Madness time. He's getting ready for college basketball. He's like, I ain't got time for no NBA, bro. I gotta put up my number one seeds. We got conference tourneys coming. But I figured my man Jamal Murphy, aka the Black Psychologist, will be just the man for the job. What's up, Murph?
What's up, man? Yeah, you're right, man. March Madness right here. You're not coming to the you're not doing the conference tournaments this year?
Hell no.
Okay, I got you. You know the ACC is back in New York this year.
Oh, well, then I might. What? Oh, you're like, oh, the good conferences are up here again. Oh, now I might be going.
Well, the ACC's a little down. Duke is the only real team.
Duke's the only real
ACC
team
with real prospects, NBA wise, which I know that's what you care.
That's
about.
what I care about. My man Paulo Banchero looking legit. He's the real deal.
Exactly.
What about my Tar Heels? They got anybody good on that squad or nah?
I mean, they got some guys who probably will sniff the NBA or get it.
But they ain't gonna do nothing.
Most likely not. I could be surprised though. I'm not trying to bury kids' careers. Don't get me wrong.
Oh man! Of course, you can find Murph talking all things college basketball, all things NBA, NFL on the Bros Pod with the legendary William C. Roden. You can also find his work. I was gonna say the Undefeated, but it is no longer called the Undefeated. It is now called, what's the name, Murph?
Anscape.
You can now find his work on Anscape. Wait, and I believe you did something for Sports Illustrated recently.
Yeah, recently wrote a piece on Sports Illustrated about a high school girl, Jada Williams, who's taking the game by storm.
Okay. And you can find his work on SI. See, this man is multifaceted. But we're going to be here talking the NBA today, Murph. And what I wanted to get into was it's the stretch run, right? We got about 21-ish, 22 games left, depending on what the team situation is. So it's the home stretch. So teams got to get themselves right, get healthy, because the playoffs are right around the corner. So I want to look at some storylines that we're paying attention to as we round out the regular season. So I'll kick it off with you. What is a storyline you are paying attention to and following right now?
Well, to start off with, I'll say the Nets, because we all have to wait and see what that's going to look like. There's a lot of hype about Ben Simmons joining the team with Durant and Kyrie, but of course we haven't seen any of that yet. And really, it's still up in the air if we'll ever see it. So I think that's probably the biggest storyline right now. Remember, that's a team that's still one of the favorites in Vegas to win, if not the favorite to win the whole thing still. So, and we still haven't seen the team that people are betting on to do that. So I think that's probably the biggest storyline. And of course, also, we want to see how this Harden and Embiid situation in Philly works out. I know they had two tremendous games to start off, but it was against weaker competition for the most part. I want to see if Harden can keep that type of pace going. He wasn't able to do that in Brooklyn. He would have games here or there where he looked great, but he wasn't able to put, a real a solid number of games together like that. So I'd be interested to see if he's able to do that in Philly, and if that hamstring was just a unhappy farce.
You saying, Murph, that James Harden may have been sandbagging it while he was in Brooklyn?
Hey man, I hold James in higher regard than that. I'm hoping that's not the case, but the early evidence says it might have been. I'm sorry.
I mean, real talk, that's a bad look for him, right? Like, dog, like, come on, man. Like, we get it. You don't want to be somewhere, but to do that, to get out, it's like, just go through the proper channels and be like, yo, Sean, I'm not happy here. Like, do what you got to do to get me out. Like, don't dog it on the floor, man. You're right. It's a bad look. And, again, everyone in Philly is like singing the praises, like, James Harden's back, blah, 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 blah. First of all, shout out to our boy Dexter Henry. Home stretch means it's time for the LeBron and the Lake Show to go on a major run and win it all. Yeah. That ain't never happening.
Oh my goodness.
They are terrible. We'll get to them, I'm sure, in a bit. But they played the Timberwolves on the second night of a back-to-back and the Knicks.
Right.
I mean, let's calm down before we start turning this into, James Harden's the man and Philly's about to win. Look, Embiid is a legit MVP candidate, so all props there. I know what Harden can do. Thibel's a lockdown defender. Maxi's looking like he can play off the ball again. But, come playoff time, can you count on Tobias Harris? Can you get what's the shooting situation like? You lost Seth Curry. Korkmaz has been this season, right? Like George Niang, maybe. I mean, so we'll see. When the competition gets stiffer, we'll see what actually it looks like. We always talk about adversity, right? And one of your favorite teams, Murph, the Bucks. The reason why they are confident and why they were confident last year, they've gone through the fire as a team together. They got those touch points to reach to. Like, man, remember when Miami busted our ass in the bubble? Man, remember when, they got those to lean to. What's Philly got collective as a group?
Nothing. And,
right.
I'm worried about Harden a little bit. Even if he shows out during the rest of this regular season, which is possible, he's we all know he's had issues in the playoffs. So that's something I want to see. I thought Brooklyn, when he came to Brooklyn and he was with Kyrie and KD, I thought that was perfect for Harden because that pretty much alleviated all the pressure he was going to have because you had two other guys and then plus him who you could count on to score. Now it's just the two guys. And I've always been worried about Harden when it's just the two guys you got to rely on because that puts much more pressure on him and he's going to have to hit outside shots and play some defense, for entire games and series. So we'll see. I'm not worried about Embiid as long as he stays healthy. It's possible Embiid could carry him. But we shall see. I'm just a little worried about Harden having to take on that true superstar role in the playoffs.
No, and that's, fair criticism, right? You look back at his career, we can definitely look to that. And then to your Brooklyn Nets point, I agree, right? This is the team with the most potential in the history of the NBA, right? But we haven't been able to see it because guys haven't been on the floor and been healthy. And I always say this, the biggest predictor of future injury is previous injury, right? It's like, man, whether freak or not, these are happening. And these guys aren't young. Kevin Durant's 33, Kyrie's 30. If they was 26, I'd be like, all right, no, So the question now is, do they even have enough runway to get themselves together and geared up? Everyone's like, that team's so good with Kevin Durant. And I agree. I'm a KD guy. And, I'll take him in 4 dudes against just about anybody. But, we got to at least play some games together first and get ourselves in the rhythm of playing ball again. Remember, he hasn't played ball since mid-January. So he's just got to get his rhythm back in an NBA game, right? And
right.
Again, we only got 20 left. And everybody got amped. Eric Adams lifting the mandate. That's not in the private sector. Kyrie can't play no games yet. So we at home, we don't know what that situation is. And if they end up playing Toronto in that play-in, he can't play none of those games because he can't go, right? He can't go to Toronto and he can't play at home. So,
no, it's all up in the air. And I think injuries in general, that was my last real storyline is just injuries, major injuries in general. And that, that includes KD, like you said, he's coming back. Not only is he coming back from having played, but he's coming off an injury and we're, hopefully he'll be okay, but we don't know that yet. So I'm a little worried about that. I want to see that. But then you have Chris Paul in Phoenix. He's missing pretty much the rest of the regular season. They are not the same team without him. They've already shown that. They've already lost a couple games without him. Does he, is he able to come back on time when they say he will? Is he going to be as effective as he was? And then, of course, Draymond Green in Golden State, same kind of thing. He's supposed to come back soon, but, will that injury act up? The back injury, I believe. Will that act up again? It usually does. So, and he's a major part. They haven't been the same team without him. So there's a lot of key injuries we have to look out for.
That's perfect, Murphy. That's actually a couple storylines that I'm looking at is the top of the Western Conference, the Suns and the Warriors. Are they going to maintain their hold where they are at 1 and 2, or is a team like Memphis or Utah going to be able to sneak up behind and get some of these wins because, as you mentioned, the injuries that they're looking at? Let's start with Phoenix first. The good thing about Phoenix, Murph, is that they played the entire season, like regular season, to win every game. Right. And they jumped out to such a big lead. They're still 6 games up on the number 2 team. So if anybody can withstand, let's say they play like 500 ball for the next 10 games, they're going to be all right because of that, because they took the regular season seriously. Unlike, other teams that didn't do that. If they go 5 and like the Lakers, right? They go 5 and 5 or under 500, man, it's a wrap. Like you're falling out of the play-in. But they've built themselves enough of a cushion that they're not going to. The lowest I can see them dropping to is maybe 2, possibly 3, but I even doubt that. I think they'll find a way to beat up on the teams they should, and they may lose some games to like some top teams, but that's fine. Again, they built the cushion for this exact reason. I think because, again, Chris ain't young. Chris is 36, right? So these 8 weeks off because it's a hand injury and not he can do cardio and keep himself in physical shape. That might actually be good for him, right? If he comes back in the hands fine and he can shoot and do everything and pass and do his stuff, he just had a nice 2-month break, right, in the season to get himself right. And now for the most important part, he can play basketball. I think now we'll see Ayton stepping up. We'll see, hey, the backup point guard position, when Chris has to sit, Alfred Payton and you picked up Aaron Holiday, what can y'all do, right? And Campaign, he hasn't played that well this year. Between the 3 of y'all, we need to find one solid option between the 3 of you. Let's figure this out. We'll Ayton step up his scoring. We know about Book. Mikal Bridges has been excellent this year, putting the ball on the ground, not just 3-and-D guy, right? Can he show a little more creativity? So I think Phoenix will be fine. Golden State I'm worried about because their defense has slipped, all right, clearly. And everyone likes to say Draymond, and shout out to Charles Barkley, triple single guy because he don't shoot the ball. True, he doesn't shoot the basketball, but he facilitates so much of their offense, right? Because he is a supreme passer, knows where everybody's supposed to be, is an excellent playmaker. Now you're down a playmaker. So Steph's got to do the bulk of the playmaking. Clay ain't really a playmaker, right? Who else is a playmaker on that squad? That, right? So now you're putting, look, Steph, you got to play make and score 38 tonight. It's like, man, like, that's a lot.
Right. And we've seen Steph, struggle at times this year. It looks like, the load at times this year has been a little heavy on him. And you can see it kind of wears on him. He's not the young kid he used to be that can just go on and on and on. So I agree with you. And Draymond, you talk about the defense. I mean, not having Draymond Green, defensively is killing them. And not just, we know he's one of the best defenders in the game, even as an individual defender. We know that. But he's a great team defender, very smart, obviously a great communicator, gets on guys, tells guys where they need to be. So not having him is a huge blow defensively.
Absolutely. And you look at, too, first remember it was a calf thing, and then it was like, oh, it's a back. Okay, well, if the back is causing this calf injury, this may be more serious than we thought. He's another one. He's not a spring chicken either, in his 30s. And remember, these guys we're talking about, it ain't like they just play regular season games because they play for some crap team like Minnesota, right? These dudes have deep playoff runs over the course of those are cumulative miles that don't go away, right? So recovery is going to take time. And if it's a back, who knows if it flares up again. And if, again, in the playoffs, you miss a week, that might be a series, right? Like you're done. You know what I mean? So it's tricky. So those are the 2 things I'm watching at the top of the West. The other thing I'm looking at, Murph, is the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic he's another playing like I mean, you could argue he's better this season than he was last season. That argument can be made, and the numbers support that. The Nuggets are of course not as good because they're missing the number 2 and number 3 best player. Yet they are still in the playoffs, still top 6. Lakers, what's up with y'all? Y'all can't win no games. You had LeBron for most of the year. Yeah, he was hurt for a little bit. When he was out, AD was here. How come y'all couldn't win no games then? But anyway, Jokic playing well, Nuggets playing well, and We hear Michael Porter Jr. cleared for on-court contact. We know Jamal Murray could be back in time for the playoffs. If those two guys come back, Murph, with the way Jokic is playing, what do you think the Nuggets can do this postseason?
Well, it's tough. Again, it's similar to what we were talking about before with the Nets. You would have to assume that both those guys need some time uh, to get back in the swing of things. Michael Porter Jr. I think is going to come back sooner, so it's, it sounds like he's not that far away, so he might have this regular season to do that. We're not sure about Jamal Murray, even though I heard people who've seen him work out say he looks great, but of course coming back from an injury like that, even he it's going to take some time. And when the playoff starts, he's not going to be 100% of what he was. But like you said, Jokic is playing so well, he might not need to be 100% of what he was in years past. So no, they're dangerous without him. Without both of those guys. They've already shown you if they were to go in the playoffs without both of those guys right now, I wouldn't want to play them. Even as one of the top three seeds in the West, I'd be a little scared of Denver. That I know they would at least take a game. They could at least steal a game or two as it is now. So you bring those other guys in. They're a well-coached team. They're tough. They play defense. They have experience in the playoffs. So if those two guys can give you, just let's say 60%, 60-70% of what they normally do, they're a dangerous team.
Yeah, they were a team that before the season started, assuming if Murray was healthy and Porter was healthy, that was a Western Conference final pick for me. I was like, I think they can get there and take on Phoenix, right?
Yeah,
I like them. And, Jokic, again, he's otherworldly with what he's doing. The one thing I will say that does worry me a little bit is, again, we talk about the load players have to carry. Jokic has to carry the load all regular season long. Come playoff time, is he going to be like, dudes, I'm fucking gassed, right? Like I've been carrying y'all all 82. Now I got to do it again for the next 16.
Well, if so, they better rest him now. Okay. All right, Malone. If you see him struggling a little right now, give him a couple of days off right now. Okay.
Correct. Absolutely. The other thing I want to look at too is Minnesota, man. Look, this is a team that they might make the playoffs. They got a shot. I mean, they're in the play-in. They're projected to finish with a better record than the Los Angeles Lakers. By the way, the Clippers, with all their injuries, and the Timberwolves, projected to finish with a better record than the vaunted Los Angeles Lakers. Just let that marinate in your mind for a little bit.
Hey, and I was at that Clippers-Lakers game recently, a few days ago in LA. And I just had a feel. I mean, the Clippers, they're the better team. It's wild to say that based on the talent on the court, but they are the better team. And you just had the feeling that they were going to pull that game out. And the Lakers, really played hard. They didn't play hard the next game against New Orleans. It looked like they packed it in. But against the Clippers, they played hard and could not beat a Clipper team led by who? Tell me who was out there again? I can't remember.
Let's see. Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Reggie Jackson.
Coffee. Like, come on, man. It was crazy. It's wild.
I mean, first of all, shout out to Ty Lue, right? Hell of a coaching job. We know Kawhi is not coming back this year, but Paul George, maybe, possibly. It's not looking great for him either. But like, if Lue's able to do this with this squad, Leonard and George got to feel great about them coming back next season. They got to be like, yo, look how well these guys are playing without us. You add us to the mix, we're legit, right? We go 7-8 deep.
Yeah, talk about a forgotten team. Like, what are the Clippers? Whether they come back this year or next year, like that's a team we have completely forgotten about in terms of being a true player. We talk about the West being down. That's one of the reasons the West is down because the Clippers are injured like that. But you add those guys to the mix even next year. I mean, that's a lot of fun. And you talk about Ty Lue. We got to give it up to him. He's proven. He's proven at this point that he's one of the best coaches in the game. And I have a lot of Lakers fans who are blaming Vogel for everything. Fired. Why isn't Vogel being fired? And I'm like, what coach out there could even help you? And really, it's only the best coaches in the game that could really do anything for them. And Lue is one of them. Can you imagine if Ty Lue was the Lakers coach? Do you think it would be a different story right now?
It's interesting that you say that. I don't know, only because this isn't a coaching problem. This is a roster. It isn't like Frank Vogel forgot how to coach basketball all of a sudden. He ain't forget how to coach basketball. The problem is this roster. And listen, LeBron James's construction of this roster, my guy, no matter what you say about, I don't push no buttons. No, my dude. You push buttons, okay?
Oh, yeah.
You are the person they don't want to upset. So yeah, you state your opinion, but it's very clear how you feel. And if they go against your wishes, you start doing what you did in All-Star Weekend in Cleveland. Oh, Sam Presti's so great. Lauding everybody else. I could end up in Cleveland. I'm going to go play with my son. This is when you start doing all that nonsense, okay? And this is what happens when teams let their stars run roughshod over the organization. Understand why you do it, but this is what hurts you on the back end because players are terrible GMs. Terrible.
I'm glad we're talking to Lakers because I have a few conspiracy theories to get off my chest. Not even conspiracy theories, but a couple theories to get off my chest. Okay, so LeBron. I mean, you mentioned LeBron. He has been playing well most of the season, very well most of the season individually. But after the All-Star break, and like you said, he's responsible for Westbrook being there. He's responsible for a lot of the moves that happened in LA. But the report was that they, for once at the trade deadline, did not listen to him. Right, Pelinka did not listen to him. That's the report, and that they refused to trade Westbrook, for a wall or something like that, or some other terrible deal, and they were going to hold on to him and until that expiring contract is an asset, and not mortgage the rest of their future just to help LeBron this year, like normally teams do for him, right? But since then, and especially that New Orleans game, his body language isn't the same. I was watching the game they lost to New Orleans. He's basically pouting, head down, not getting back on defense, just not playing as hard as he usually does. Do you think that the fact that they did not follow his instructions at the trade deadline, that he might be, I mean, we're talking about the second greatest player of all time, so I don't want to disrespect him, but is he somewhat packing it in? Like, I'll show you.
Listen, Murph, first of all, we have a 17-year history of what LeBron James does. All this passive aggressive stuff he does. This ain't new. This is the playbook, okay? Now, we know at the end of next season, he is a free agent. And if you're the Lakers, you said mortgage their future. Mortgage what future? All your picks are already gone. You ain't even got nothing.
They refused to trade their 2027 pick.
Because that's all they got left.
Right.
They can't do that. Because remember, they gave up a king's ransom to get Anthony Davis at the behest of LeBron James. Now, to be fair, you won a title.
Right.
But maybe that's all y'all get. Y'all got the one, and that's it. You ain't getting no more, right? So this idea of let's wait till next year when Russ, because let's all be real about something, folks. Russ is opting into that player option next year when he's going to make $48 million or whatever the hell it's going to be, something astronomical, right? You're going to be paying LeBron 40 plus, whatever the hell Anthony Davis. I mean, your three maximum, like those are the three guys that tie up 98% of your salary. One of them's always hurt. The other one's no longer an elite all-NBA level player.
Right.
I mean, that's just so Laker fans, forget about this year. What y'all gonna do next season? It ain't gonna be much better. I don't see a way out unless Pelinka's like, I'm trading. Like, I'm moving Bron, I'm moving AD, right? And you mentioned a couple weeks ago, do they do it? Maybe they do. Maybe this is the time because they don't have no trade clauses. Maybe this is the time you do it.
Yeah, that surprised me that LeBron doesn't have a no trade clause. But yeah, no, I think I mean, like I said, I got Laker fans who have actually all of a sudden, just in the last few days now, have brought that up. Maybe we trade LeBron, and how wild is that? Like,
that would be wild.
How shocked would LeBron be if he's traded somewhere? Like again, and he doesn't have to okay it. He doesn't have to red stamp it. He doesn't have to demand it. That's usually how he gets traded.
He would lose his mind. And the other part about that too is that the Lakers and Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, what you're setting yourself up for there as well is you have now made an enemy of maybe the second most powerful agency in the NBA. Some argue the most powerful and Clutch. So if you think you get any other Clutch clients in the future, you not. And you already got one on your roster. If you trade LeBron, you still got Anthony Davis. Rich Paul. I mean, right? You got to give it all the Clutch guys because they're gonna make your life a nightmare. right? And it's just and again, the problem is that the rest of the roster around them isn't good enough.
They have to blow it up. I mean, listen, if it weren't LeBron, right? If it was somebody else, if it were like a Harden who was like three more years down the line and he was really washed or something like that, or like it wouldn't even be a question. Everybody would know you have to blow it up. But I just think it's because it's LeBron who's like, it's like unfathomable that you would ever trade him, or it just doesn't make sense in your head, like that you get rid of a LeBron or something like that. But that's where they're at. I mean, let's talk about LeBron a little bit. Now, his level of play has been high, but really only statistically. He's not really. Is he really affecting winning anymore? Like I was thinking about this the other day. We always used to get on Westbrook. He put up stats and numbers, but was he a winning player? And at some point in his career, he was. I believe Westbrook was a winning player, like when he was younger. But right now, and I know LeBron is great, and he's one of the greatest of all time. But is he a winning player? I've been watching the Lakers this year, and he's I have him on my fantasy team. He's doing fine for my fantasy team.
He's killing you. You're like, I'm making all the money on fantasy.
Yeah, when he's healthy, he's helping my fantasy team. But they're not winning any games.
So here's my favorite all-in-one metric to use, as you know, is estimated plus minus, right? Because that is the best indicator of when you are on the floor, adjusted for your competition, what does your team typically do? A plus is good. A minus is bad, right? LeBron is 5th in the NBA in estimated plus minus. So when he is on the floor, the Lakers outscore their opponents by 6.4 points per possession. Now, the problem is everybody else on the Lakers squad is at a net negative. So he cannot carry, right? So like and their overall team, they're a negative 2.2 as a team, right? So he can't sit for even a millisecond, because even when he doesn't sit, because everybody else is so bad, they're barely holding on. Look, remember who they've gotten rid of to bring all this stuff in here. Brandon Ingram,
right?
Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, KCP, Kyle. You think any of them 5 players would be better off here? The Lakers would be way better if they had any of them 5 than what they have now. Absolutely, they'd be better.
And it goes back to Vogel. You're right. He hasn't forgotten how to coach, but he's not like a versatile coach. Like he's a defensive coach. He's a guy.
You got no defenders.
And you gave him no defenders. You gave him 37-year-old Carmelo. You gave him however old Westbrook is, but
who don't play no defense.
There's no LeBron is about 37. He can't do what he used to do. I mean, he has no defenders to work with. So basically, why is he the coach? Because his strength, you didn't help him out. And when you did give him players that worked with his strength, they won a chip.
I mean, it seems like simple math to me, right? I don't know, but hey, it'll be interesting to see what the Lakers do this offseason. Because look, even if they manage to stay in the play-in range, they ain't making no playoffs. Like, I have no confidence they're going to win the requisite games necessary to get themselves into the playoffs. And even if by some miracle they do, because let's keep it real, Anthony Davis ain't coming back and saving y'all. I don't see it. And even if that does happen and they become the 8th or the 7th seed, they're getting the doors blown off them by whoever is the 1 or the 2 seed. They're not beating either of those teams at the top of the conference.
They haven't beaten good teams all year.
Right.
Period. So what makes people think they could, first of all, get to a higher seed? And if they do, and if they play a top 4 seed, they're not in that class.
Yeah.
They're not in Denver's class.
Nope. Right. They're not. They're not in Denver's class. They're not in Memphis's class. They're not in Utah's class. They're not in any of Dallas. They're not any of those teams.
I'm expecting, I saw that Dallas 5.5 today. I jumped on that, even though, I'm a little worried the Lakers they were so bad last game.
Right.
They might
come out strong.
Put together one game. But whenever you see them play a pretty good team, you roll with the other team.
Well, shout out to Dexter Henry in the chat who said the king equals the GOAT GM. You definitely you don't get rid of the GOAT GM. Yeah, I think you do. But we did our pre-TNT Tuesday Night Bet show, and Dexter said, I'm not taking anything with the Lakers. I'm going Mavericks heavy tonight. Yeah. Keep in mind, Mavericks are the number 5 defense in the NBA. Yep. And the Lakers struggle to score the basketball.
Hey, I mean, maybe they should have kept Jason Kidd if they wanted to make a coaching change maybe a year earlier.
Maybe. Oh man, but yeah, it's not looking great in Lakeland. Anyway, those are some things we're looking at right now. Now, what I want to talk about, Murph, getting towards the end of the season. It's all NBA time. Now, this, as everyone knows, and most people, you should, but I view all NBA as far more important than all-star, right? This is you make all NBA, you are one of the 15 best players in the league, and
so do their paychecks.
Yeah, and your paychecks, yes, tell you that, oh, I'm all NBA. All right, so, which is ridiculous, but they're going to do it.
Right.
They make you do all NBA by position. 1 center, 2 forwards, 2 guards.
I thought this was positionless basketball.
I agree. I agree. Adam Silver.
He didn't get the memo?
He didn't get the memo. Adam, for All-Star and for All-NBA, get rid of positions. Just take the 15 best dudes and whatever. Just do that. Forget this position crap. But anyway, this is what we got to do. So we're going to vote based on positions. So I figure what I do is I'm going to throw out the people who I think are eligible based on position. And then we realize, well, you can only have so many of them. So who's getting cut? So let's, for sure. Let's look at centers. All right. You got Embiid, Jokic, Jarrett Allen, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. I gave you 5 centers. We only got 3 spots. Who getting cut?
Oh, for just the 2 who have to go from
2 got to go. We only got room for 3.
So give me those again. Jokic,
Jokic, Gobert, Towns, and Jarrett Allen.
All right, so Allen has to go. I love, he's I mean, there's no disrespect. I mean, he's a good young player, but he's not in the class of these other guys. And
well, before you say that, I will make this point. Of the guys you're going to cut, Jarrett Allen by far the highest estimated plus minus.
Yeah, but you got to give some credit to his teammates on that.
You're right. Evan Mobley doing his thing.
They have a deep team.
They do. Darius Garland. Yeah, they doing their thing.
Yeah, so he has a lot of help, a lot of young help over there. So I'm going to cut Allen, and I'm going to cut Karl Anthony Towns.
Okay,
and, as much as I always love to pile on Gobert, I'm not going to do it. He's proven how big a piece he is to Utah. As you always say, defense is half the game.
It is half the game, friends.
At least.
At least, sometimes more.
Right, sometimes more. So I think and then Townsend have a pretty good year. Good offensive player. He's just something about
stats are so, but counting stats are. But Minnesota is in the play-in. They're 7 or 8 right now. I mean,
I feel bad about Towns having to drop Towns, but it's a tough competition right there.
Amen.
And when you look at the other 3 team, Denver having a better, slightly better year than Minnesota, Utah much better year, and Philly, Embiid, you're not taking him off.
No. If you had to choose right now, who's the first team center, Embiid or Jokic? I go back and forth every day on that.
And you have to do that. That's
yes, one of them has to. Yeah, one of them is going to be on second team. Yes, one of them will be on the second. That's the travesty, because here's the thing: because all NBA first team is basically the 5 best players in the league, right? How is Embiid not one, or Jokic not one of the 5 best players in the league?
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I mean, based on how ridiculous it is, I'm just going to use a ridiculous standard and just say I'm going to keep Embiid because Jokic. He got his props last year. Embiid, it's his time. He fits the narrative a little bit better this year. And I love his trash talk. So I'm gonna put it.
All right, we'll go give it to him on trash talk. I love it. All right, now it gets tough. The wings. Okay, or front court players, for lack of a better term. Okay, you got Giannis, LeBron, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant. See, here's the Luka Doncic listed as a point guard, which whatever. Jason Tatum. You got DeMar DeRozan. You got Draymond Green. You got Bam Adebayo. I mean, how many names I gave you already? more than 6.
Wow.
We only got 6 spots.
And these are the wings. These are forwards.
Yeah, forwards. These are forwards. Yeah. Yep.
Wow. I mean, Giannis is there
for sure. Easy.
Giannis is there. You said Doncic is not part of this.
No, he's a point guard according to how he's listed.
He's a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Durant has missed a lot of games.
He has.
How do you factor that in?
So I will. So he's going to hurt him for his chances to make first team. But if he comes back and is basically who he was, and I'm like, look, how do you not go? Because his team will be better than LeBron's team, right? How do you not go Durant over LeBron on that first team? That's the basic question we're asking right now. Does LeBron deserve the other first team forward spot on All NBA? That's the question we're asking.
Well, probably not. I mean, you gotta, if DeRozan is technically a forward, I think I gotta go Giannis DeRozan.
DeRozan, that's fair enough.
To be honest, I mean, and I take both of them out because of the games they missed. Remember, don't forget, LeBron missed some games himself.
Missed a ton of games to start the season. Yep.
So, and then he's, like I said before. I mean, you're right. He may have decent advanced stats, but I mean, the bottom line, the team hasn't been winning.
You're right.
I'm gonna have to, for first team, I'm gonna have to hold that against him. And Durant, because of injury, and we see what that injury has done to the Nets.
Loses of 11 of 15 or whatever it was.
Exactly. And you have to reward DeRozan. I think the guy the Heat just snapped his 10-game 30-plus night. 30-plus points a night with the Bulls. Tying Michael Jordan for the second best. Michael Jordan, of course, also has the first best. At 11. So I got to give DeRozan some props. The Bulls were second in the East, I know, going into yesterday. So I got to put DeRozan up there. So
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. And I think that, again, DeRozan's also a top 5 MVP candidate. Whatever your MVP ballot looks like, to me, the 5 players on it, Embiid, Jokic, we already discussed them. I think it's DeRozan. I think it's John Morant. And then Giannis. Excuse me. God, I forget Giannis. So I put Giannis third after those two. I mean, you could, honestly, if you tell me it's either Giannis, Jokic, or Embiid for MVP, I'd be like, all right, like any one of those 3, and then DeRozan and Morant. I think that is what your top 5 looks like to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're getting into the tricky part. Okay. We're getting to the second team now. Do you automatically, because they weren't on the first team, give LeBron and K second team? Because you got Jimmy Butler, you got Jason Tatum also as part of that crew.
Oh man, I think I do. I think I do put LeBron and Durant second team, because they did a lot while they were out on the court. Tatum kind of had an up and down year. He's obviously turned it on as of late, and I love Tatum. Don't get me wrong.
That's your guy.
Yeah. So I love his talent and his skill. And he's, like I said, he turned it on. I'm not sneezing at a third team for him. No. And remember, a lot of this, whether you want to call it narrative or somebody's turn or age comes into it. You reward guys who've been there. That's just the way it goes in terms of it seeps into the voters' psyche. So I think you reward Durant and LeBron with that second team, and you give the younger guys that third team, and also Butler.
And Butler on the third team. All right. So now we're down to our guard positions. Woo!
Which is the toughest.
They got Luka as a guard, which is crazy. All right. So we got Steph, your boy Donovan Mitchell, Chris Paul, Luka, Trae Young, John Morant.
This is too hard, man.
Do you give James Harden, Drew Holiday, Fred VanVleet, Darius Garland? Good God. What's my man from San Antonio? DeJounte Murray.
Right.
Okay. I named like 10 guards, and we only got 6.
Wow. I don't even think you named Booker, did you?
Shit. I didn't even name Booker.
Oh my goodness. This is a beast. This is a beast, because the young guys, you got the young guys like Morant and Trae Young. They are playing,
and they putting up
at a first team level. But I think with Trae, you hold.
You got to punish him. You got to punish him for Atlanta's record.
For the team, for what the team has done, even though he's been great.
Yes.
But I guess you got to be more of a leader, and that's what
remember, he started the year saying it's hard to get up for the regular season after what we've accomplished. Dog, that set a bad tone, my guy. Like,
you can't be saying that.
I mean, shit. Are they even in the play-in? They're like, I think they might be 11th.
I think they're like, last I saw, they were about 10. They were 10th.
Jesus.
That's a good 10th team, though, when you think about it.
He getting punished for that. So I think first team, we probably would agree. You go Steph and Ja first team, or you go Luka over one of them first team.
Oh my goodness, this is rough. I mean, I was thinking Chris Paul.
The best record in the league. How do they not have nobody on the first team All NBA?
Yeah, I mean, and and like I said, you see, I mean, everybody knows that he's probably the major reason why they win. You know, wow. So I think I have to put Chris Paul.
Okay.
I have to give him that respect.
Yeah.
And I'm not the biggest Chris Paul guy.
Oh, we know.
But this year, I have to give him his respect. He deserves it. He deserves to be on the first team this year.
All right. So that's one guard. Who's the other guard?
The other guard. Wow.
Yep.
Now, you mentioned Doncic. You mentioned Booker. You mentioned Donovan. You mentioned Trey. Who am I forgetting?
Steph.
Oh, Steph. Oh, you got to put Steph on there.
Okay. So you go Chris and Steph.
The old guard.
The old guards. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that means team 2 has got to be John Morant's got to be second team All NBA. How does that dude not make one of the top 2 teams All NBA? Man, you got him down on third? Wow.
No. I'm starting to regret not putting him first team. That's what I'm doing. But you can't. I mean, I don't think you can.
It's just
I mean, those the two guys I gave you, their teams
are better. Yes, slightly, but they're better. So
and those guys have everything to do with it.
Yes, correct. Correct.
So yeah, Morant has to be on the second team.
Okay.
Then damn, who do you put next to
Doncic, Donovan, Booker?
I'll go. Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
I guess
Trey. Yeah.
I think I'll go. I think I have to go Doncic.
Okay. So we got Luka and Doncic. So we got Luka and Ja as the guards on second team. So that means third team's got to be Donovan and who? Trey? Or is Trey or Book? Yeah. I mean, Booker's team is better.
I mean, I hate to. Trey doesn't. I mean, I want to say he doesn't deserve it, but it's just that it's such a packed position.
It's stacked.
I mean, stacked position, and it's just because your team. I mean, you didn't
think about perennially who we haven't mentioned. James Harden not anywhere near this list. Like, I mean, but like exactly. a dude who he ain't nowhere near this list, right?
Right.
Drew Holiday not on the list, right? Like, I mean, again, guys who
great players are being left off.
I mean,
no question about it.
It is that's what makes all NBA selection so difficult. It's just like, man, again, and how do you reward? Because it's an individual award, right? To be selected all NBA is an individual thing, but it is done in a team concept. So how much do you punish for your team being shit? Because it's like, look, you putting up numbers, but your team ain't winning. So what's up?
Right. And it's like, I mean, if all those guys were on shitty teams, then it wouldn't matter, right? But those other guys are doing a little more, most likely. I mean, because even Trey Young, we know he has a talented team. It's not like you could say he's on a terrible team and he doesn't have any help. That's not true. They were just in the Eastern Conference Finals, so we know what they're capable of. And the point, especially when I hate to say it, it's harder when you talk about point guards and guards because they are supposed to be the leaders of the team.
Correct. They are.
Right. So if the team isn't getting it done, it looks more poorly on you than it would if you were a forward or a center for whatever reason.
No, you are 100% correct on that, man. All right, we're going to get out of here on this, my guy, which is top five. As of today of this recording, Tuesday, March 1st, who are your top 5 teams in the NBA? Go.
1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
5 to 1.
All right, number 5, I'm going to go the Grizzlies.
The Grizzlies.
You just, you got to love what they're doing, right now, but all season, really.
Yeah, all season.
They've been consistent. They're still without Dylan Brooks. Like, Is he supposed to come back?
Yeah, he's coming back.
Right. So, I mean, you add that guy to the mix. Whoa. Like, I don't know. They have a lot of depth. Tough, really, really tough team. And they're playing very well, and they're very dangerous. I don't care who they play. So they're 5. I got the Heat, number 4. On top of the East right now. I do have questions about them. I'm hesitant to say that they are that they'll come out of the East because I just feel like they have to exert the most energy. They have everything kind of has to go right for them. They have to play so hard against these upper level teams. But right now, you can't take away what they've done during the season or what their potential is. So I have them number 4. I have Golden State 3. There's so much uncertainty. I want to put them 1, but I mean, there's so much
slipping.
They're slipping. The injuries, we don't know. Who's coming back from injury, how they'll be. Clay, obviously, it's going to take him a year or so to get back to where he was, even though he's still probably great. But there are questions there. But 3 is not a bad place to be.
No.
I got Phoenix number 2.
Okay.
Especially when Chris Paul comes back. They've just been so consistent all year. They know how to win. They take every game seriously. We know how important that is.
I think I know who your number 1 team is.
You got to. I got to go right now with Milwaukee. They're the defending champs. We've talked about this before. I think Drew Holiday is a better player than he ever has been. Really, in the playoffs last year, especially in the beginning of that Brooklyn series, he was a weak link to me a little bit. I thought he was a little shaky. You couldn't
very shaky.
You couldn't depend on him, right? And then as the playoffs went on, and especially when he got to the final, the defense he was playing in the finals was just ridiculous. And then he was playing so well offensively too. He became much more efficient, and that carried over into this year. I think he's a much more confident player this year. He knows what he's capable of. He went to, he also was part of the Olympic team. So I think he's just a different guy that you can really depend on now. So I think that's a tough out. But let me just say, I'm still waiting on this Nets team. If they ever get these guys to play on the same court, I don't know if it's going to happen. If it does, that's my wild card right there. They can blow all this up,
as they should be, because a team with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Seth Curry and Patty Mills, and that kind of shooting. We don't know what the Joe Harris situation is, but and then you got Ben Simmons as your defensive switch 1 through 5, fast break, putting pressure on that team will be a nightmare to guard. Nightmare, because it's just they have too much. So yeah, but again, that's all if with them.
Right.
All right, my top five. I'm going a little bit different. I'm going by who's got what on their adjusted net rating right now. So I'm going to go number 5. We have the Boston Celtics. Yo, man, Celtics. And you know how I feel about the C's. But Ime has got them guarding. They're going to overtake the Warriors for number 1 on defense. They're number 2 right now in adjusted defensive rating. They're guarding the hell out of people. Robert Williams and moving him off to non-threat people so that he can come and get involved in the action, right? Switch on the wing players. And listen, defense is a big deal. And come playoff time, we know what Tatum and Brown can do. Them dudes can isolate and score, and that matters in the playoffs. You don't want to see them in a playoff series.
No, you don't. And they've been there.
And we talk about who doesn't have the collective memory to tap back into. That core does have the collective memory to tap back into.
With Miami, it took every last bit of Miami's energy to beat them in the bubble.
It did.
That was only a couple years ago.
You're 100% right on that. So they're at my 5. I'm going to go with the Miami Heat at number 4. Look, man, the Heat, to me, they are they're like the Suns in that way where every game matters to them. Regular season, they just play hard every game, and they're gonna grind you. So we talked about how they stopped DeMar DeRozan. That's a team you ain't gonna want to play in the playoffs because they're gonna bust your ass for 7 games. Even if you win, you coming out that series hurt because they just got PJ Tucker fouling you all series. It's just gonna be rough, man. So any team that can do that, they have a chance to win any series they're in because they can guard.
Yep.
At number 3, of course, my Grizzly Cubs, you know the deal, doing their thing. Look, I am concerned about them come postseason, right? Because watching their games as closely as I do, so much of their game is predicated on getting steals and getting out in transition and John Morant just attacking the paint, dunking over. I'm like, dog, you ain't doing that in the postseason because you ain't going to be playing the New Orleans Pelicans, the Houston. None of those teams exist come playoff time. Everybody is good. So they're not going to be turning the ball over and all that.
But he did put up serious numbers last postseason. I
mean, listen. He's got this level of no fear in him. He don't give a fuck who you are. He's going at anybody coming for their neck. I do worry about him though. Every time he leaps up in the air, I'm like, oh God, don't land. I'm just because disaster could strike. I need Jaren to get a little more assertive in the half court because look, come postseason when they load up and they sag up, you're gonna have to knock down shots, my guy, and you're gonna have to when you get the ball. That one dribble spin, make something happen. And not only look to score when you get the ball, look to, all right, they're going to dropping somebody in the lane. Who can I dish that off to? So I'm concerned about that for them. But, they're young. They're going to get their lumps and learn how to win in the playoffs. Number 2, Golden State. Look, despite Draymond not being out, they're still winning, right? They're still in the second seed, still the second best record overall. Anytime you got that man, Steph, you know you got a chance because he might shoot from three-quarter court, forget half court, right? And light you up. We've seen him do that. And even with the Chris Paul injury, man, the Phoenix Suns, you got to give them credit. Still, they are number 1 in adjusted net rating. They beat who they're supposed to beat. And not just by a little bit. The bad teams, they beat the shit out of them, right? And they're winning more than their fair share of the games against good teams. So, Golden State, and shout out to Dexter Henry. He said, Ja ducked over Merce, man. Jakob Hurdle last time. He did.
My guy.
I mean, I was like, oh, God.
Oh, man, that was sad. That was sad. I felt bad for him.
Yo, man, he murdered that too. And I was like,
that was terrible.
Oh, yeah. Listen, and Hurdle's a good rim protector. He ain't like a scrub out there. He can protect the rim, but no.
He didn't look like it. But
here's the thing, though, right? Any good rim protector is going to get dunked on because that's just, you're not going to block every shot. I mean, that's just how it goes. And then, again, back to Phoenix. Look, they have unfinished business on their minds. Remember, they were up 2-0 on the Bucks. Yeah. Right? They were up 2-0. So they're like, look, man, we should have won that series. And they really should have, right? That game 3, they don't get that late steal. I mean, it's 3-0. It's looking, are the Bucks then questioning themselves? Like, oh, no, here we go again. All right. We got to the big dance finally and we lose it. But everything turned, right? The margin's so thin. So I like what Phoenix is doing. I wouldn't be mad at a rematch of the finals if we got that again. I certainly wouldn't. I think the Western Conference will be interesting. And whoever comes out of the East is they're going to be battle tested. And, injuries, you mentioned to start the show, Murph, and I'll close it off here. Injuries play such a key thing in this. And we love to think that none of that matters. Every year, injuries matter. Which team is going to, because no one's 100%. Which team come finals time is going to be the most healthy? Right. Who's going to be 70%? Right. That's who's going to win it. That's the question. And that remains to be seen. Anyway, man, appreciate you being on the show, Murph. Tell the people where they can find you.
Thanks for having me. Of course, always fun. You can find me on Twitter at Blackatologist. Like you said earlier in the show, check out the podcast, Bill Roden on Sports with the legendary Bill Roden, talking about all things that are socially relevant in sports. And of course, check out my writing at Anscape now. Used to be The Undefeated at Anscape and on Sports Illustrated.
I love it, man. And of course, you guys know where to find us. We are at 7footers Pod on Twitter, at 7footers Podcast on Instagram, at JS Hector, at Jenna Lemon Selly. She'll be back next week after her Connecticut Sun deal is up. And
congrats, Jenna.
Appreciates that. No doubt. Congrats, Jenna. And until next time, guys, peace.
Spent a couple years out here with these raps, trying to have a plan that we made come true. Applied to some jobs, but I ain't hit back.